Hello, George.
Hi,
Morning.
Chef. How are you?
Very good, very good. Mita,
Hello, good morning.
welcome. Georgetta,
Hello, Ernesto.
hello.
Hi, Ernesto.
Adi, welcome. Please have a seat. First of all, good morning.
Hi.
Let me introduce myself. I know you know I'm Chef Ernesto. Today I will be your facilitator for today's session. Thank you first of all for coming. I appreciate that. And next, I would like to thank you first of all for coming on time. Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure we're all okay. So you ready for today's session?
Yes.
Yep.
You had breakfast already?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Guess
What,
what I had?
what did you have for breakfast today?
2 eggs.
2 eggs.
Fried, side
Really?
side up.
George, how about you? What did you have today?
Coffee,
Yeah?
and then for second course I had another coffee.
Aminta, what did you have for breakfast?
2 boiled eggs for 3 minutes.
Wow, that sounds delicious already.
Starting from cold water.
Wow, wow. You did that?
I actually had 1 duck egg.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Well, I've had the croissant, but I think they use eggs to make that, so.
That counts as well. Very
So
good.
it counts, yeah.
It counts as well. So, on the topic, as you can see, we all had a little bit of breakfast. The topic today will be eggs and egg production. So, now that we all know what an egg is, let me just give you a quick talk about my personal encounter with egg. As I was growing up in this industry, one of my first stations was the omelette station on the breakfast buffet. Well, this was my transition from actually apprentice to a cook. So my first station was the omelette station and the buffet station where we used to serve 4,000 people for the breakfast.
Wow.
Just 4,000.
Only 4,000. That was like nothing. So the idea was is that it was my first encounter with a professional kitchen and a professional area, and my first encounter was making eggs at the omelette station. So we used to serve breakfast from 7 in the morning until 11 a.m. Now, I personally didn't expect the amount of preparation it takes to set up an omelette station. And what I mean to say, the work in the back of preparing this station, so it actually made me realize that this is one of the most common eaten things among the breakfast. Eggs. Good?
Yeah.
I think it's a bit scary. If you should have saw me that morning when I had to make omelettes at the same time. That was quite something. So, today we're going to be talking about eggs. And our learning objectives, are at the end of this lecture, we're going to understand the quality and grade and the composition of eggs. We're going to understand the use of eggs in cooking, and then we're going to know which ways we can cook eggs in the process kitchen. Now, our objectives or table of contents are the origin of the egg, the composition, the grades of qualitative sizes, the market form, and the sanitation. Can anyone tell me where they think that originally eggs are from?
From the hen?
From the hen, okay.
I think there are other, let's say, birds which are making eggs, not only the hens.
Good, yeah.
It's not only birds, eh?
Can you name one of those kind of eggs or birds that actually we get eggs from?
Yeah, quail,
Okay, good. No, that's one. Anybody else?
geese.
Yes, very
Ostrich.
good. Ostrich, very good. Yeah. And now let's talk about our previous session since we're already on the topic. All right. So let's talk about our previous session, which was. Can anyone tell me what was our previous session before?
Cooking methods.
Very good. Cooking methods. Can you tell me at least what are the cooking methods that we use in the kitchen?
Okay, in total there are 14 cooking methods.
Yes.
Which are divided into main categories. We have moist heat cooking methods and dry heat cooking
Can you
methods.
explain me, please, what is the moist cooking?
The main difference between those 2 categories are that in moist heat cooking methods you use water or steam. So
Okay.
water is involved in that
Very
cooking
good.
method, in those cooking methods, even if it's boiling or using steam. Water is involved in that cooking process.
Very good. Can you give me some examples of moist cooking methods?
Braising,
Very good.
Boiling and simmering,
Yeah.
steaming,
Steaming.
Glazing.
Glazing, yeah. And what
poaching.
about dry cooking method?
Yeah, I can say something. I think grill
Yes.
or deep fry.
Yes.
Yes. Very
Pan
good.
frying,
Pan frying as well.
baking.
Well, I see you guys did your homework. Very good. Thank you. Now, what I'm gonna do to refresh our heads since we didn't see ourselves over the weekend, I'm gonna just show you a video so we can recap exactly where we're talking about today's session on the egg itself.
At the end of this lesson, the learner will be able to describe the breakdown and composition of an egg and explain the nutritional benefits of eggs. The construction of the egg is initiated by ovulation. Once the egg cell and yolk become fertilized, they move into a portion of the tube whose walls secrete the protein of the egg white, also called albumin. The layers of albumin are laid down over the yolk alternately in thick and thin layers. The making of the shell happens in the uterus and is composed of 5% protein and 95% calcium carbonate, which makes it porous and allows the inflow of oxygen and the outflow of carbon dioxide. At the wide end of the egg, there is an air cell, which over time becomes larger as the egg loses carbon dioxide and moisture. The yolk and the albumin are the parts of the egg used in cooking. The yolk makes up about 1/3 of the egg's weight after shelling and consists of 50% water, 34% fats, and 16%
All right.
protein. The yolk contributes about 3/4 of the calories of the whole egg. The albumin is made up of 10% protein and, for the most part, water. Economical to produce, the egg is a real concentrate of nutrients, a source of excellent proteins, very good fats, vitamins, and minerals. From the physico-chemical properties to biological functions, researchers still have many secrets to break under this protective shell. The egg is full of precious molecules in the white and yellow, where there is still a lot to discover and utilize in the agri-food industry for human as well as animal health. Proteins are essential for our body for the functioning of the muscles, the energy supply, stimulating the immune system, maintaining hair, nails, or for the cardiovascular and hormonal system. In the egg, proteins are distributed in large quantities and evenly in the white and yellow. Thus, 2 eggs provide as much protein as 100 grams of meat or fish. These proteins are rich in essential amino acids, meaning those which our body is unable to synthesize, and they are also very digestible, which brings them closer to the ideal protein. The protein is almost perfectly balanced in the amino acids necessary for life. In the raw state, the proteins of the egg are only halfway digested, while after cooking their digestion is nearly complete. However, if the yellow is overcooked, the proteins are less well digested. So, rather than a hard-cooked egg, the ideal is therefore to eat a poached or soft-boiled egg. The breakfast egg has a greater satiety effect than cereal products like breads and croissants or even muesli. Omelets and cheese soothe hunger in the same way. However, with the omelet, secretions of satiety hormones have been delayed and prolonged, probably because the texture of this snack prolongs digestion and therefore the release of nutrients. Eggs also contain a high amount of choline, an essential nutrient which helps to prevent liver disease. How could eggs fit into your personal nutrition? Are the proteins that you are consuming of high quality?
Okay, so what I would like to do now is to find out the key takeaways of what we took away from this video. He mentioned a lot proteins. Can you tell me how important it is proteins for our body?
I think it's very important. The most important thing that I found out is they are good proteins for your body, and they are evenly distributed to the body from the proteins from the egg.
Anybody else?
It also helps in developing the muscles.
Very good.
So protein is one of the main stuff that we need to take in order for us to develop our muscles better.
Did anyone notice the balance of water inside of egg? What was the balance about it?
Yeah, 10% with 90%.
Very good. Yeah. And now that he pointed out something very, I think we all ask ourselves, how do we like to eat our eggs?
From today on, I will eat my eggs nice and soft.
Nice and soft. This was a recommendation, so I'm sure from now on you will definitely have it like that. So,
I think it's an important key takeaway, the fact
Yes.
that they are easily digestible. So
Very
it's
good.
an important source of food because our bodies take it easily.
very good, very good. And you mentioned it very clearly that it's in the different ways to eat it, you get more proteins when it's actually less cool. So, how many eggs do you think you can name from this?
4,
4?
5,
Okay, so give me some examples. Let me see if we can get here.
quail,
Yes,
Goose,
goose,
The most used in the kitchen, chicken.
yes,
duck,
okay, good.
dinosaur,
We'll get there. So, we've been consuming eggs for a very long time. How long ago do you think we actually started consuming eggs?
5,000.
Wow, I don't remember 5,000 years.
Not me.
during the ice age.
Whoa, okay. Do you think there were animals during the ice age that provided us eggs? That's a good
Probably
debate.
They are
yes.
having eggs ice cream.
There you go. This is a different type of product.
I think from the very, let's say, burn of the civilization, first people have eaten eggs because they were easy accessible.
Very good. And it mostly come from domestic animals at the time, and then we evolve among that. Where do you think this beginning of these eggs? Where do you think it started?
Wherever birds can be raised or domesticated.
We were looking for a domestic, as I mentioned before, domesticated animals that provided us eggs. And as I mentioned before, there were chicken, there were quail, there were ostrich, and some of you even said dinosaur. Yes, back in the days, there were dinosaurs as well, providing us with eggs, and we needed to figure out which is better, the dinosaur egg or the pork. So by then we figured out long time ago. And why do you think we actually decided to start with eggs? I mean, this was a decision we're talking about, as I mentioned, 5,000 years ago. At some point we had to decide whether it's good to have eggs, and how do you think we made that decision?
They are highly accessible.
Yes.
They are easy to obtain.
Yes,
They are packed with nutritional value.
yes.
They have good fats, they have proteins, and yeah.
Very good.
They are good. They are
As you
good.
could
They are
see,
delicious.
Tasty.
as you could see in our slide here, the eggs are very, as mentioned by George, thank you very much. Eggs are versatile and easy to cook. But the first and foremost is the protein of the egg and the high quality and low cost for this. All right? What do you think, or can you tell me actually, what an egg consists of, as in consistency, what it's made of? The 3 key parts of the egg.
albumin,
Yes.
The yolk and the
Yes,
shell.
and the shell, very good. I think I skipped a slide, yes.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so it's eggshell,
Eggshell, white,
and
and
yellow.
the shell, and yellow, correct.
Okay.
Now, as you can see, there you go. Composition of an egg started from the yolk, the white, and the shell. Now, as you can see, the yolk is both in fat and proteins. Protein, as mentioned in the video, is one of the key aspects of where we get the most proteins from the egg. As well, it contains iron as well and several vitamins. The color of the eggs, and as you remember, it mentioned as well, the egg white is where we get most of the proteins from the shell. Now, can you tell me where in the egg we find most of the water?
I think in the white.
Correct, in the white. As you can see over here in our next slide, and the composition of the egg, where you have the air cell as mentioned before, and one of the things that you mentioned as well, how to shape the freshness of the egg, is when the air shell, it grows a little bit bigger, that's when the egg is getting older. You mentioned that in the slide. So we have the chalas, the egg yolk, the egg white, or the albumin, as mentioned by Aminta, chalas, and the sperm. All right? Now, what do you think came first, the egg or the chicken? And I actually want to take this as a little bit of group work. Let's come up with some different ideas of what you think came first.
I think the chicken
You think the chicken?
was sent by aliens.
You sent by aliens. So the chicken sent the chicken, or the alien sent the egg? Which one of them?
Aliens sent the chicken so he can have the first egg on Earth.
Yeah.
I think that's a tricky question because actually you put, we don't know who's coming the first. But on the other hand, when you see a chicken, making an egg, you say, okay, that's the chicken who makes the egg. But after that, when you think where the chicken came from, it's obviously that she came from an egg. So I don't think there is a straightforward answer to this question.
There are many ways of.
And if we were to develop a little bit further on what Georgetta said, because chickens come actually from reptiles, evolutionary speaking.
Correct.
So millions of years ago, it's been reptiles who've been making eggs, and before that, it's been whatever. So I guess it's really impossible to say what came first, but somehow, evolutionary speaking, they've developed
This
from
was-
the most simple reproduction methods to more complex, depending on the environment, I guess.
And as mentioned again, I'm going to use at the end of that 5,000 years ago.
I was right. Wow.
I'm going to base myself on your comment. 5,000 years ago, as your colleague said, the reptiles created eggs. But let's just verify this for a while. I'm going to show you another video that's actually going to clarify this for us.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
By the end of this lesson, the learner will be able to describe the indicators of a fresh egg,
sorry, a little bit of technical problem. Hold on 1 second.
Escape.
take the procedure for proper egg storage, and identify potential hazards of working with eggs. Let's respond to the centuries-old question of which came first, the chicken or the egg. We could argue that a chicken is just an egg's way of making another egg. But the truth of the matter is that eggs existed long before chickens did. Hundreds of millions of years, in fact. The egg is the female reproductive cell and evolved some billion years ago. It then took 750 million years for the earliest land-dwelling animals, reptiles, to develop their eggs, which could survive outside of the sea. And it was not until another 100 million years
dinosaur.
later that birds came about. The chicken, as we know it today, is only about 5,000 years old. Let's take a look at some eggs. Who knows what egg is this? This is the egg of a plant-eating dinosaur. This is the egg of a meat-eating dinosaur, or T-Rex. You better watch out for this one when you're at your campsite. Here we have the eggs of ostrich. Here we have the eggs of quail. These are pheasant eggs. This is the egg of a goose. And these are the domestic chicken eggs. And just for fun, we have here the egg of an elephant bird. These huge birds of up to 400 kilos lived until about 1,000 years ago and were the world's largest birds. They could not fly. The volume of this egg is 160 times greater than that of a chicken. In some part of the world, these eggs of ducks, geese, and other birds are used. But it is the egg of the chicken that is by far the most common in our kitchens. In Switzerland, eggs are classified into 3 groups. Class Extra are packaged within 5 days and must be sold within 12. Class A are packaged within 8 weeks and sold no later than 18 days afterwards. And Class B eggs are not sold in the shell. They are used in the food service industry and are sold beaten as whole eggs, just whites, or just yolks, pasteurized and vacuum packed or Tetra Pak. Egg freshness can be determined as follows. The visual method. This requires removing the egg from the shell, which of course renders it useless for sale. The yolk should be round, firm, and surrounded by a ring of firm egg white. The water method. Place an egg into a water which has salt dissolved in it. Fresh eggs will sink to the bottom, and old eggs will float. Candling. Place the egg in front of a light to see the size of the air cell, which should be approximately 6 millimeters with the yolk well centered. As the egg loses carbon dioxide and moisture, with time, its mass shrinks and the empty space at the wide end of the shell gets larger and larger. Shaking. If fresh, they will make no sound. The odor test. A slightly sulfuric odor indicates old eggs. Eggs should be stored refrigerated and at a relative humidity of 85 to 90%. In this way, they can be preserved for up to 6 months. Alternatively, they can be flash frozen and stored in the freezer. However, they must be pasteurized first. Slow deterioration in quality goes on as long as eggs are stored, so prompt use is best. Once cracked open, they should be used immediately as they are deprived of their barrier to bacterial infection and quickly become susceptible to spoilage. Obviously, since the egg loses moisture and carbon dioxide through its porous shell, there is also the risk of bacteria entering. And for this reason, we do not wash eggs, and once they are stored in the refrigerator, they must be kept there. Eggs can also be stored at room temperature, below 30 degrees Celsius, for a few weeks. Hens which are infected with salmonella are capable of laying perfectly healthy eggs, in addition to those which are contaminated. In addition, feces in the environment can penetrate the shell once the egg is out, and for this reason, proper hygiene procedures are imperative. Cleaning hands, knives, cutting boards, etc. Salmonella is the most prevalent of food diseases, and thorough cooking is the best safeguard. Use pasteurized eggs whenever possible. Based on the information you received, and depending on where you are, have a closer look at the packaging of the egg. Look into what you are buying. Experiment with your eggs at home and determine the freshness.
Thank you very much. So, was our question answered? Of which came first, the egg or the chicken?
Unfortunately, yes.
I still debate that.
You're still debating that. Why would you say that?
I don't know. It was, okay, I understand it was the egg first, then developed into other things that we know of today. So, anyway.
Do you see the time frame of when
Yeah, millions.
7 million years and you were saying 5,000 years, so we were kind of off in that direction. And there was a lot of things, other information mentioned in the video. Can you name some takeaways from this video as well?
Yeah, the water technique get me into it. I will do that at home.
Yes.
And also for me was interesting that you can really keep the eggs in the fridge like, several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make stocks or, if you don't cook them immediately, you are able to keep them in the fridge.
Also, the difference between the storage as well, there was the temperature you mentioned, and one way that it showed different ways of checking for freshness. It shows one technique with salty water. You saw that what happened between when it's fresh and when it's not fresh. Can you tell me what happened?
Yeah, when it's fresh, the egg goes to the bottom of the water bowl, and whenever it's old egg, it will float.
Very good. He also mentioned as well a different way of seeing the egg through the light.
Yes.
And actually you could see the diameter, as I mentioned before, the air cell, you can actually see it through the light. Very good. Now, as he mentioned the classifiers of eggs, he mentioned that in Switzerland, they have a different classifier of egg. Can you remember what he said about the classifying of eggs in Switzerland?
Yeah, there were three categories of eggs.
Yeah.
The first one was, I think, eggs which are very fresh and can be packed in 5 days and commercialized within 15 days, 12 days.
And these were called extra.
Extra.
Correct.
Now maybe you say
Class A was the second one. Can anyone remember the time frame for that?
12 days old, 12 days packed and consumed in 18 days, maximum 18 days. And class B, packed in 18 days, consumed in 20 and something.
Correct. Now, I wanted to show you on the slide here that this is actually US classification of eggs. And they use letters. They use AA, grade, and B for the lower grade. And you could see the different kind of techniques that they use to identify this egg. And we could see on the another slide that the grade A, Amita, can you read out for me please, the grade A?
So grade 8A, the egg content covers a small area, white is firm, so it's much thicker. And the surrounding yolk is small in the amount. The yolk is round and upstanding.
Very good. Lolita, can you read me grade A please?
Yes, of course, the egg contents covers a moderate area, larger one than the A, double A. The white also is reasonably firmly and has considerable amount of thick white and a medium amount of thin white. And the yolk, actually, what is important, is round and upstanding.
Very good. Adrian, can you read me the last one please?
Sure, the egg grade B, grade B eggs cover a very wide area. White is weak and watery, has no thick white, and a large amount of thin white is thinly spread. The yolk is engaged and flattened.
Now, based on this information, as we mentioned, two different kind of classification. Did you find any difference between what was mentioned in the video and this classification?
Yeah, you can tell only by looking at the picture and then reading the content that there is the difference between a fresh egg and an old egg. It's by far the thickness of the egg. You can see the
yolk, the white and the
the
yolk.
fresh, yeah.
Yeah.
The white, for instance, for the A grade, the AA grade, the egg yolk is firm and it's taller.
Very good.
It makes you think it's a fresh egg.
Anybody else?
So I guess the systems basically look at different things. One of them looks
Correct.
at freshness, the other one looks at basically how the egg is. So if it's a better egg, then it's more compact once you
Mhm.
break it. If it's more watery, then it spreads over a larger surface.
Correct. Very good.
So I guess different countries, different ways of looking at things.
So, do you have any questions so far? What questions do you have so far? Everybody okay? Everybody is clear?
I would like to ask you, how do you check if you have eggs on the table and you don't know if it is boiled or fresh? How do you check this egg?
Well, as mentioned before, if it's raw, you're talking about it raw, you're talking about cooked eggs, or you're talking about
Boiled egg.
boiled egg? Okay.
Boiled egg.
First of all, we're gonna determine how many minutes do you want the egg. For example, if you want it 3 minutes, if you want it 6 minutes, this will make a
Alright.
big difference. So one of the techniques that we use in the kitchen most often that I learn of is just spinning the egg.
Okay, yes, thank you for answering.
So
Great.
basically, when you spin the egg and if it's wobble, that means it's still uncooked. If it's firm, by the time you spin it, that means it's fully cooked.
Thank you.
Or you can use the old fashioned way and crack it.
That even works better. And then if it doesn't work, then I need another egg. So that would be for sure. Definitely, we're gonna make sure we understand that as well. Now, storage. As mentioned in the video, storage is a very important part of the storage part of it. Now, he mentioned about what are the key sickness that we get from eggs. Can everybody remember what's the sickness we get from, or what's the virus we get from the
It's
egg?
a bacteria, it's salmonella.
Correct. How the salmonella actually developed the way we actually handle it, and he said something about storing the egg, that we don't need to wash it. That's what he mentioned. Do you know why? Do you remember why he said that?
Yes, because if we clean and wash the eggs also with the detergent or with chlorine, it will it will wash actually the I don't know, the something which protects the egg, and all the bacteria can come inside and infect the egg.
Anybody else?
Naturally, eggs has like a protective barrier.
Yeah.
When you store it, it's quite recommended to don't wash it. Wash them just before to be used.
Correct.
And normally in hotel industry, we wash it in chlorine and then we rinse them in cold water.
Yes. But this is a technique that is used normally in hotel industry, as
Yeah.
I mentioned before, because of the volume that is involved in the hotel industry, And the usage that is from home to hotel industry is completely different.
Yeah.
Many people are involved in the production of egg in a hotel industry. And if we compare it to a home use, some of the techniques as mentioned in the video are not applied all the time. So very good point, thank you very much for bringing that up. Now, how do you think eggs are sized actually? And I'm gonna give you a little bit of example here of how mostly eggs are sized, something that very much you didn't think of in the beginning. It goes from small to jumbo. Have anyone ever had a jumbo egg before? No?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? You did?
I have, each morning I eat a jumbo egg with 2 yolks in it.
How do you know it's jumbo?
Because it's bigger than the rest of them. It seems a duck egg, but it's not a duck egg, and it has 2 yolks in it.
That's your definition of jumbo, right?
That's my definition of jumbo.
Anybody else?
I
A
think
different?
at least in Romania they're standardized, so when you buy eggs, they've got a code printed on them.
Yes.
But that's why I've never seen jumbo. I've seen with an M from medium and the large.
Yeah.
But I guess they go in
They're
about
more-
this size because it's
The most common that we have in Romania is from small, large, it would be medium and large.
yeah.
Yeah, because these are the most common use over here, and this is a little bit of information that we should have seen here. Now, we need to understand that an egg in a small version has about 40 grams. Did anybody know that?
No.
So for us chefs, it is important for us to calculate this by, and depending on the recipe that we're gonna use to involve the eggs and so on. Now, how many ways of presenting the egg in a marketplace? For example, you go to a supermarket and you go to the shelf. How many types of different presentations do you think you can find when presenting an egg? Yes.
In a cardboard, whether it's closed, you
Okay.
cannot see the egg.
Hold on 1 second. So we're talking about cardboard, right?
Yes. Then I saw clear cardboards that you
Okay.
can see the egg. So it's whether there is a, how do I call it? Enclosed or open.
Okay.
Right?
Any other way?
I saw also packed, meaning without the shell and yolk together with the white, and packed and frozen,
Okay.
even for individual consumption.
Okay, very good. Anybody else?
I think I saw once pasteurized eggs.
Yes, that's good. We're gonna put this as here as well.
I know. I saw at breakfast they do that. They use
And there's
this-
one more way that actually is very,
Dehydrated
very good, George.
Ah,
Dehydrated.
powder.
Powder, very good.
Powder.
This one is used in general when, if I'm not, I hope I'm right, but powder, I think it's usually used in businesses which need to have large quantities of a product.
Product.
In our discussion is egg, and this product needs to have like a long shelf life.
Correct, because it's dehydrated.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, as you could see here, we have fresh, frozen, dry, and cook. Can you give me some examples of fresh when you go to a supermarket, how you actually get this product?
You get the one in the cardboard,
Very good.
the regular eggs.
The regular eggs, very good. And also in frozen state, as mentioned by you, Adrian. Can you explain me one more time how you get it in frozen state?
I think the frozen, it's already, I guess the eggs are already beaten or divided, whether it's an egg whites or egg yolks or mixed together.
Very good.
But they're packed in containers and frozen.
In Tetra Pak
Yeah.
containers,
Correct.
usually.
These are the processed eggs where we found the egg whites only, yolks, or even pasteurized eggs for breakfast purposes as well. This is what we're talking about, frozen. Dry, as mentioned by George, thank you very much, dehydrated powder eggs. And pretty much what we do with this, we just add a little bit of,
Water.
it's simple as that. I guess you all tried that before, did you? Powdered eggs?
No.
Thank you, but no.
No?
No, I never tried. I thought all the time that these powder eggs are designed especially for a cruise ship.
Yes and no, yes. You know what the most common use that I personally know about this powder eggs is, for example, that you put it in bunkers because they have a longer preservation,
In
For like
food
reserved,
banks.
yeah,
food banks and
yeah.
so on. This is very much you will find this most thing. Now there's one more section which is the cook. Yes.
I have a question. Or these powder eggs, they can also be used for the, how should I say, for the industrial premixes in order to obtain, I don't know, other products. Those or these kind of things.
It based on the composition of the recipe that you want to make.
Yeah,
Because
but-
it's a very concentrated powder of eggs. So whoever's making this recipe need to calculate exactly the end product.
Yeah.
No, but for example, when you make, let's say, I don't know, ice cream,
Yes.
there are those industrial packages. You
Yes.
just put the mix, water, start the machine, and you have the ice cream. I mean, these powder eggs, they can be used in this type of premixes. As
Yes,
well, right?
yes, they can.
Okay, so this is another use that
They can be used as well.
can be used as well.
Definitely. Now there's one more section that we didn't talk about, is cook. How did you actually find these cooked eggs on the market?
Personally, I never seen it, but I see this picture there, so I assume it's that button, how you call it?
An egg salami.
George, please.
I bet that everyone saw cooked eggs in the market. I'm gonna give them an example. In Easter period,
We can find them now.
you find them
Supermarkets, yes.
supermarkets already painted
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah, this being a tradition, I mean, you don't really usually find them at other periods, but supermarkets abound with them during Easter because probably, they just think it's easier than, rather than buying them and buying the dyes and painting them yourself, just to buy them already cooked and painted. So yeah,
It's a way that the producer of this product came on the market in order to make our life as consumers easier, and we don't have to waste more time to cook and paint the eggs on.
And there's one more use that actually goes in the market as well in presentation is salads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Salads, yes.
correct.
So this is pretty much one of the most common use of presenting in a marketplace when we make the salad. Even if, for example, if you go to a supermarket, you will find out egg salad or salads that contain eggs as well. But it's another way.
And quail eggs are very much used for that because they are
Yes.
smaller and
Very
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, well,
I've been to Italy, if I'm not sorry, Giorgetta, I will leave you the floor in just a second. I've been in Italy and I saw that they have quail eggs,
Already
already,
in a,
yeah, in a jar, pickled in oil, in, I don't know, I don't remember, I think it was beetroot juice or something
Yes,
like
yes.
that. So you have a large
yeah,
variety
because
of
the
cooked eggs
small
on the
size
market.
makes them like snacks. You
Yeah,
just
it
take
can
one and
be-
you put it in the mouth already.
Actually, Italians use it as, what is the name of that? Yeah, but
But you have also the Asian part where they eat balut, which
Yeah.
is that egg that is 1,000 years old.
Antipasto, they eat it as antipasto.
Yes, correct.
And I wanted to say that also you can find cooked eggs in egg liqueur.
Yeah, see, there's another way of seeing it. I think you like that version more. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay?
Now, let's recap what we actually did learn today. What kind of cooking techniques we use when we actually boiling an egg? As well, what I'm trying to do so we understand, we can recap last session with this session, and if you could,
It's a moist heat cooking method
very good, very good.
because you are boiling them.
Exactly.
But we can also grill them, so
Grilled eggs.
yes, put them on the grill.
That's a good point here. There you go. Let's explain us how we do it.
Wait, let me how you do grill eggs.
On a barbecue.
Let's
On a
find out
barbecue
this.
grill, it's simple. You put a plate, a metal plate, and put the egg on it. And that's it. And on the grill, I mean now the grilling pan. If you put an egg on the grilling pan, it can.
A grilling pan is actually a pan, not a grilling pan.
It's a grilling
But
fork.
you can boil the
Grill
egg, cut it and grill it. Why not?
Yeah, you can.
but I mean, okay, I understand what she means. I can't tell these two.
Good luck taking it from the cutting board after you cut it and put it on the pan.
No, but you boil it first.
No, I guess, I understand. You break the shell, you just put it there, and it's a dry cooking, because you don't add water, it just, but I don't know if it sticks to it or not.
Okay, so she just mentioned Friday.
No, not fried, because you use
No,
oil
no,
for
because I
frying.
did not tell
You
you
don't?
that I put oil in it. I only
just
put
put
it
the
on
egg.
the grill. I put the egg on the grill.
But it's not, that's not,
I will try it. And I will have you next by my side to show me how to do it, because I can really
We
cannot
can
understand
do
it.
it in,
Yeah, we'll
In
do
the
it.
break.
Well, I guess we just learned something, George.
but
Yeah.
question is,
Definitely.
does it qualify as dry cooking, because the albumen has 90% water, so.
Oh.
But I tried something at home. You
Yes.
know that sandwich maker?
Yes.
If you put an egg there, you can grill it
It's a
perfectly.
grill.
I tried at home.
That's
You
a-
can
that's-
experiment with it.
So
Okay.
you pull it, you put it in that
That
triangle side, and you put it, shut it down.
You just make me change my whole perception of cooking with this.
This is what she does also in the other classes with us. She changes the perspective. She's the one that, you know, she just coming, dropping the bomb, and then leaving and let you boil and simmer in your own juice is what she was trying to say.
Good, so I guess we settled that.
Yeah.
But just to clarify that a little bit, as you mentioned, grilling eggs, you actually don't grill egg, you pan fried or just
fry.
you fry,
Right.
which is gonna be in a little bit of oil just to make sure it's sustainable. But yes, I definitely will try this section. I like the iron pan when you're making it there. That's a good concept. Definitely will to try. I'm gonna definitely put this in a concept as well. All right. So do you remember the sizes of the egg and how they are classified by sizes?
We have from small, medium, large here in Romania, and according to the USDA, we have also extra large and jumbo. Jumbo, if I'm not wrong and if I remember correctly, it has around 73
73
grams.
grams, and they start from 40 grams with the small ones.
It's 40 grams in the smallest one. Very good.
Yes.
I have a question, if it's possible. But how, what does make the egg being bigger or smaller? It's up to the chicken, or?
Just ask the class, what do you think?
Yeah, why do you think? Because if you saw exactly how we saw a bit earlier in the slides, we have a 40 grams egg and we have a 73 grams egg. And I'm quite sure that all of them were chicken, as
Yes.
an example.
Yes.
Why one has 40 and one has
I wanna
73?
answer. If I'm not mistaken, when I was a kid, my grandmother used to come with these eggs from the chickens, and I always find this smaller egg.
Okay.
And I asked, why is this egg small?
Then-
Such as your
Yeah,
question. And the answer was, well, this egg came from a very young chicken.
Okay, so it has a connection with the age of the bird.
Yes, I guess so.
I knew that it was not the age of the bird, but the breeding of the bird.
This is what I was.
Because there are different breeds. There are some breeds that are only for meat, but they produce also eggs, and that are the smaller eggs. Then they have the breeding that produce large eggs and double yolk eggs and so on. So practically it's all this is what I believe.
This is, I think, it's more logical than the age of
One
the.
other thing that I
Yeah.
know, I think is that whatever you give to the chicken to eat, sometimes they use some chemicals or additional things to make them fortified.
No, I think there's a difference between the chickens that people grow in their yards and
Yeah.
chickens in batteries or something, because
Yes.
they, with selective breeding, probably they get to those traits that they want.
Actually, yes.
Exactly like Aminta said, breeding them for meat or breeding them for larger eggs or
I
for
wanted
a
to
special
say
size.
that, yeah, sorry, I wanted to say that you have seen that in the first film we had a reddish chicken. That reddish chicken I know from my, from my house, from my childhood, that these red chicken are especially for eggs, not for meat. The meats are the white one, which are very, fat.
The fat one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. So, one last question.
Yes.
What were the forms of presentation of the eggs in the marketplace?
We have the fresh egg, the
Yes.
frozen,
Yes.
the cooked, and the dried.
Very good. Well, I see you guys paid attention today. Was everything clear?
Yes.
Yeah. quite clear and quite helpful.
Good. I want to just make sure we get understand what's going to be for our next session. Our next session, since we already covered the methods of cooking, today we covered the eggs, yeah? And our next session is going to be of different ways of cooking eggs. So we're going to link all of the sessions one after another one.
Okay, so next time we will learn in how many ways we can cook eggs.
Grilling.
Actually also test it. So
It's
that
gonna
I
be-
know, I can bring mine.
So next session will be a tasty one.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you today.
Thank you.
I hope you get as much information that you needed, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you very much.
Likewise.